Yo, what's up, my Onnit friends? We are here today with my good friend Duncan Keith, recent Norris Trophy winner for the best fucking defenseman in the NHL, and also former Stanley Cup winner for the Chicago Blackhawks, and a good friend of mine. Duncan, what is up, my friend?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, brother.
Things are good.
We're catching you at your home back where you live down in British Columbia now, right?
Yep, I'm just back here, just relaxing, taking in the off season back here up in the mountains by the lake.
Yeah, good place to unwind. So I'll tell the story about how I first, kind of came to know who you were. I'm sitting at a playoff hockey game for the LA Kings, and I'm watching my Kings play the Chicago Blackhawks, and some fucking asshole comes and whacks one of our guys in the head with a stick. So I'm like, oh, fuck that guy. I fucking hate him. He's the worst. And then like a year later, I meet you, and you're awesome, and I don't really care about the guy you whacked anymore with the stick. So that's how it went.
I remember you telling me that. Yeah, I can't say that I'm proud of that, but I thought it was funny that you were actually at that game. Out of all the games to show up to that one year, so that's your introduction.
Yeah, it makes for a good story. So hockey is, and that's one of the things about hockey is one of the best sports for that kind of stuff because it's kind of a system that self-polices itself. So it's kind of this contained fury in which not only the refs are responsible, but the players are also responsible for, having each other's back. So as a defenseman, that's got to be kind of up in your radar as kind of what you're looking at there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the beauty of hockey is the fact that, there is that, obviously there's referees out there, but there is that kind of inner policing within the players themselves. And I think that's good for the game. I mean, let's face it, it's a fast game with big guys, other than myself. But, I think that you need that protection for our skilled guys and to know that they can go out there and play their game and there's guys out there that are going to have their backs so nobody can take liberties on them.
Yeah, that's important. And that's not necessarily what you're known for as a defenseman. You're known for some of the, more skill play, assists, passing, some of the ways you turn defense into offense, etc. But certainly wouldn't put you in the goon category. But I'm sure you've had your fair share of necessary mix-ups.
I hope I'm not getting thrown in the goon category. I guess I do have a bit of a temper. But, and there's times where I probably could be a little bit better at controlling that. But I guess when I feel like, whether I've been, had a liberty taken on me, and I'm probably a little maybe too quick to react, and that kind of gets me in trouble sometimes. But I think I'm getting better at that. There was no suspensions last year, I don't think.
That's good.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I'm not... Yeah, so I'm progressing,
I like it, man. It's kind of like a spiritual journey through hockey, I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. So take us through a little bit, from the start. I mean, obviously you've risen to the pinnacle of your position in the game, achieved what every hockey player as a kid kind of dreams about growing up. But where did that start? Where did that Duncan Keith dream begin? And then how did you keep that going to actually achieve that?
Yeah, well, I grew up in a small town in Ontario. It was called Fort Francis, Ontario, and our family moved there. I was about 1 year old, and my dad's a bit of a hockey nut, and we always joke around that he basically brainwashed me into wanting to play in the NHL and become an NHL player because he liked hockey so much. And I remember him making me visualize, and not necessarily making me visualize, but before I was going to sleep as a kid, he'd be sitting there next to me and telling me stories about me playing in the NHL and things like that. So, I mean, I think that kind of got me going, and there's lots of outdoor rinks back where I grew up in Ontario, and basically all there was to do was play hockey. And My mom was always getting up early to go to work, and she'd take me to those early morning practices. And ever since I was a little kid, I think that dream kind of started there when I was in Fort Francis. And then our family moved out to British Columbia when I was 14 years old, and it just kind of carried on from there. I think I've always been a determined person, and I love hockey, and I guess that's where I put all my focus and all my energy since I was a little kid to become an NHL player. And I think as a kid I just kind of dreamed of just making the NHL, and then when you get there, you're that competitiveness in you. I think makes you not you're finally in the NHL. It makes you want to become as best you can be the best player on the team, or
Sure.
Try to do that. And I think it's just kind of carried on. I've got great teammates, and obviously you don't win a championship or individual awards without having a good team and great teammates. There's been a lot of players who've played in the NHL, a lot of great players who haven't won anything. And are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. No, my screen just cut out. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. I think it's I feel lucky that I've been on good teams in Chicago with great teammates.
So you give your dad some credit, and certainly there's some credit due there. And I met your father, and he seems great. But there's a lot of dads telling their kids, "Hey, son, you're gonna make the NHL," and that shit doesn't happen for most of them, So either
Right.
your dad was clairvoyant, or just there was something that you brought to the puzzle that a lot of other people don't. And obviously, you have great athletic attributes, but that's not the reason why you are who you are. I mean, you mentioned determination, but what separated you from all the other kids as you were kind of coming up?
Well, I think first of all, I love hockey, and I don't know what I would do if I not couldn't play hockey, but couldn't be involved with hockey in some way. So I think first of all, it's a passion that I have, and you have to enjoy what you do. And I think the best players are guys that really enjoy what they do. And I think other than enjoying what you do, I mean, yeah, I'm competitive, and I think the top players are probably the most competitive and focused and determined. And I know those maybe sound like cliches, but I don't think you get to being at the top, or winning without just practicing just nonstop and doing things that just the more you practice and the more you put that emotional kind of intensity into your workouts, not just going into the gym. Like I remember going into the gym, and when I was 14 years old, and I would see other guys in there kind of just they just kind of going in there for more of a social aspect, and my mindset was going in the gym. I was so prepared. I had my everything was just fully prepared. I was going into that gym as a 14 or 15-year-old as though I was going to play a game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. That's how kind of that attitude, that it's not just going in the gym, it's going in the gym to get everything you can out of it, or even a practice. And I think that's what leads to becoming a better player, or better whatever you're doing.
You made a really, I think, important point, is how much you loved hockey. And I think a lot of people, they burn out on sports and they lose the love for it because it becomes so much like work. And I think parents can play a big role in this. They can push so hard that the kids no longer love what they're doing anymore, and they're doing it out of some kind of obligation or some kind of desire to please. What to you was that balance? Like, what enabled you to continue loving what you're doing? Because I think in anything you do, you hit it exactly right. Like, you have to love it. You can't just do it as a job, or you're not going to be any good at it. So what kept the love alive for you for hockey?
Well, I had mentioned that my dad kind of, he talked about just kind of sitting down and setting that dream kind of in motion. And then with my mom, all the effort that she did, getting me to the rink to be able to skate and taking me figure skating and public skating to go, get out on the ice. As much as they did that, it was never if I didn't want to, it was never a situation where them telling me to go practice or telling me I need to do this or I should be out there working on my shot. It was never any of that. It was just more, if I wanted to do that, that was up to me. And I think I just showed them my determination as it was, so they didn't really maybe feel that they had to push me. And I hear stories of parents, pushing their kids, and yeah, and then maybe it does take away from the fun of it. But I don't know. It's an interesting question. I don't know if certain people, times, people just have more of a love for the game. And I know guys that I've played with in the NHL to this day who they don't really like hockey. It's funny. They're in the NHL, but they don't really like it anymore. And it just goes to your point. It can become a grind, and
and now, are those some of the best guys, or are those, because I'm trying to make a point here, but if there's people in there who don't love hockey, but I mean, the best guys that you find, do they still generally love it?
Yeah, that's what I think. Absolutely, I think, yeah, the guys who I've played with over the years who maybe don't really like hockey, they're not necessarily the best players, and they're not the best players I've played with. The best players that I've played with really do love it, and you're right on that. Like whether it's Sidney Crosby, Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, Brent Seabrook, and Patrick Sharp. Those are the guys that are focused, and it's just a natural thing for them because they love the game so much. It's just the way they are. Mm-hmm. It's not forced.
Yeah, I think it's key to kind of maintain that. And when you don't feel that, or if you're a parent, looking to kind of guide your kids, make sure you guide them in something they initially love. Don't try to manufacture something that's not going to suit them, and B, don't push them so hard they fucking hate it. And coaches can do that too. My high school coach was the worst for that. I had a lot of talent as a basketball player, and he just made it so fucking miserable. When I got out of high school, I was like, I don't want to fucking play basketball. I don't want anything to do with basketball. I hate basketball. And it's just, some people can do that, coaches, parents, or whatever. So keeping the love alive. So then at some point, though, you had to realize, oh, shit, like I really got a chance to actually live this dream. About what age did that start happening?
Well, I think I always kind of believed in myself, but I don't think it really felt like I could maybe have that taste of like, I'm close to the NHL. I can actually do this, make this dream come true. I remember during the lockout year in, I think it was 2003, 2004, the NHL locked out the whole year. And the American League, I was playing in the minor leagues that year, and the American League, it was a really good league because there was lots of players who played in the NHL the year before. And then because of the lockout, they ended up going down and playing in the American League. So I ended up playing against a lot of those NHL players and doing well against them. And I remember thinking to myself, like, hey, like, if the NHL starts up next season, I think I can do this. I've been playing against some of these guys who were second line, forwards in the NHL last year, and I've been shutting them down. So I knew I had a chance then, and it was just kind of a matter of getting that opportunity, and I got it.
Yeah, right on. Do you remember the day that, obviously you were brought up and you were practiced, but the day that you knew that you might be put in the shift rotation for your first NHL game?
I vaguely remember that. I remember standing there on the blue line and taking that in, because if you came and watched us last year and you've seen the national anthem, how the fans,
sure,
it's pretty unique in Chicago where, when the national anthem's getting sung, all the fans are cheering and clapping. It's not silent. It's like as loud as the building ever gets. So I remember I got to start that game actually, and I was standing out there on the blue line looking around thinking, just trying to take that moment in, because it was pretty cool. It'd been a long journey to get there, and I wanted to make sure remembered that moment in my head, of just standing out there in the blue line, first NHL game.
So you got to start the very first NHL game that you played in?
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was fun. I think my coach liked me because he was the coach from, he was in the minors with me the year before.
Uh-huh.
Trent Yoni's his name. He's a great coach, helped me along a lot over the years. And so then he was promoted to be the head coach of Chicago, and then I made the team too. So I think maybe now looking back, I think he kind of threw me a bone there, and or a little bonus there, gave me the starting job.
Or he just caught a glimpse into the future. He knew where that thing was going. That's great, man. So take us through then. You're in the NHL. Take us through some of your best moments that you can remember in this career. That's, as I mentioned, Norris trophies, 2 of them now, Stanley Cup championship. I mean, what are some of the great moments for you?
I don't know. I got so many, especially over the last 5 or 6 years. For me, being in the NHL that first year and being in the city of Chicago, I remember living downtown with Brent Seabrook. I have great memories living down in a big big penthouse suite downtown, and me and him are 20 and 22 years old in a big city, and we're playing in the NHL. So that was a pretty fun year, even though the team wasn't very good. But we, it's the immediate things that stick out are winning the Stanley Cup. I mean, if we ever do it again, you're gonna have to come down and
hell yeah,
and ride those double-decker buses with us. It's pretty cool, to be a part of a parade in Chicago with such a sports city. And I think there was about 2 million people that showed up to the parades. And when you see that many people, it's kind of an incredible feeling. I mean, it's incredible feeling just to win a Stanley Cup and know that you're the champions, but I mean, to see the actual impact and to see, how many people, how many fans that the Blackhawks actually have and support us, it's amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Was there any moments in that run to the Cup that really kind of stand out for you?
Well, in 2010, I think in 2010, that was our first real. 2009 we had a good Cup run and we went to the conference finals. Then the next year, I think just in general, just that group of players was special because we were all a bunch of young guys, and we didn't know any better, and we just had so much fun together. So that was kind of special, just in itself. Like that group, that type of atmosphere, I don't think will never be the same because we're never going to be young again, and that young, 22, 23, 24, 25 years old. Other than getting my teeth smashed in and losing 10 teeth, my front teeth, I mean.
When was that? Tell us that story. What happened?
That happened in the conference finals in 2010 against San Jose. We were on the power play, and Patrick Marleau off the Sharks. I thought he was going to skate with the puck. They were shorthanded, and he had got the puck, and so I was going to go at him and force him to dump it down rather than skate with it. And I thought he was going to skate with it because he had some room, but he just turned and fired it right away. And I was skating forward. I was just starting to skate forwards, and it came right up my mouth. And the weird thing was it smashed out all my front teeth, the bottom 6 and the top 4, but it never cut my lip or anything. My mouth guard went flying, and my whole mouth was numb right away. If anything ever like that happens to somebody, you don't really actually feel anything. It just happens so fast, and it's just a immediately numb feeling. And I got back to the bench and I had no idea. I said, "How does my mouth look?" I looked at Brian Campbell. He plays for Florida now, and he just gave me a look like he was. So I knew right away it wasn't very good. And then I was putting gauze in my mouth, and the trainers took me down. They're like, "Yeah, you better go and get a few needles there. That's not going to be feeling good in a few minutes." So then I went down to the dressing room really quick, and they just were pricking me with needles left and right with that Novocaine, I think it is, it numbing stuff. And and then
where did the teeth go? What happened to them? Did they just fall on the ice?
They were everywhere. It was just my mouth was just completely mangled, and I had a beard and long hair. I honestly looked like, you know, I did not look good. The guys were just laughing at me. I just looked like a disaster.
So the teeth didn't go into your mouth, though? I mean, it seems like they would have gone into your mouth.
Yeah, there was some that came off, like basically because my kind of I went like that right at the last second, and my mouth guard went flying, and I did feel a little bit in my back. There was like a little bit, but it wasn't. I don't even know. I mean, I think we picked one up, but the teeth were white. Well, some of them were white. I got some yellow teeth that were probably. We didn't find any teeth, so it was. I guess that yeah. Like a lot of fans still bring that up to me in Chicago. That's like their favorite memory of me. Yeah. Me getting my teeth smashed in.
Great.
Sweet memory.
Well, it's just, I mean, it's so indicative that, your first reaction was, I'll just put some gauze on it. I just lost 10 teeth. I'll put some gauze on it and just fucking bite down on that shit and keep playing.
Well, I don't know. I think most guys would have done that. I watched those.
Yeah, do you watch the World Cup, Duncan Keith? Did you watch the World Cup? Would they have done that? No, most guys would not have done that. Maybe hockey players, but you guys are savages.
Well, that's all part of it, I guess.
Yeah. So they shoot you in the mouth with all the Novocaine, and then does the mouth guard even work at that point? I guess you still bite down with your molars.
No, I didn't even use a mouth guard after that. I don't even think I used a mouth guard the rest of the playoffs.
You're like, fuck it. It's not going to get any worse.
Yeah, no, there was nothing. First of all, there was nothing there to guard, and I guess mouth guards are more for concussions anyway, aren't they? But
yeah. Well, apparently, because it didn't save any teeth.
It sure didn't help teeth, because I had my mouth guard in when my teeth were when I ate that puck. But
well, the fact that it didn't bust your lips means you might have been skating at him with a full smile, just mouth open, full smile.
I have no idea how my mouth didn't get cut. It was crazy. Just my teeth.
That's pretty wild. Well, this year, recently, and we got a chance to tweet about it, but you had a ridiculously late, I think it was overtime or double overtime season-saving goal. What was that like? Take us through that.
Which one was that? I don't even remember. We played so many games last year.
I don't know. You scored a goal and saved the season.
Oh, I scored a goal. Oh, yeah, that was against LA.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was game 6 in Los Angeles, and I guess it was they were beating us, and the crowd was going crazy there. There was a timeout, and I think it was about 3-1, or might have been 3-1, and there was 10 minutes left in the game, and then we scored right away, and they were taking it to us. There was probably, I don't even know how much time was left in the game, but Patrick Kane made a really nice play in the offensive zone and found me in the slot in the middle there, and just fired it home, and tied the game up there. And then Kaner was able to score again with about I don't even know, maybe a minute or two left in the game. So I tied it up, and then he put it up for us and went to game 7, and of course LA ended up beating us after that.
Yeah, it would have been a better story if you guys had the cup. Then you scored the goal to tie it up and continued on. But what can you do? You did your part in that game at least. So tell us a little bit about the just kind of the culture of the NHL, because it seems to me I've known a lot of different athletes from a lot of different sports, but the NHL is a really unique kind of group of guys. So what's it like, from the inside, just the culture of the players and everybody?
Well, I think that it's, I think that it's basically a lot of guys that I feel, a lot of guys that I've met are hardworking, down-to-earth guys who've, they've worked their way, up there the whole life, and I'd like to think that as NHL players, we recognize that the spot that we're in, and because of that position that we're in, we understand that there is responsibility as idols to kids and whatnot to help people out and try to give back and use that to our advantage, use that position and leverage to our advantage to help people. And I'd like to think that most of the guys in the NHL, if not everybody's like that, and everybody that I've played with seems like a pretty good guy. I've been with a couple guys that played with a few guys that rubbed me the wrong way, but for the most part, I think the guys in the NHL are pretty good guys.
Yeah, it seems like that, and it seems like for whatever reason they haven't let let things get to their head. Maybe it's the nature of the sport itself, that it's just such a gritty, tough sport, or maybe it's the nature of where these players come from. A lot of small towns and cold places, or whatever it is. But hockey players are certainly a different breed than any of the other sports you find.
Yeah, I mean. I don't know. I as an athlete, I admire a lot of different athletes, and I know you got a lot of with Onnit. There's a lot of MMA guys, and I mean, I think those guys, those guys are tough customers.
True.
And
they're probably the most closely correlated group, I think, to hockey players is MMA guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's fighting in MMA. That's what it is, and there's fighting in hockey. And but I definitely wouldn't be stepping into the octagon.
I've asked this before to different people, but I might have asked it to you. I've seen what you could do with that. So what's do you train fighting at all? I mean, is there anything that you do to kind of get yourself ready for that situation, or is it just all instinct and just give it hell?
I think I think the more you do it, the better you get at it. Obviously, fighting in hockey is different than fighting on your feet, and it's all about your balance, and you can grab on, and I think there's there's guys in the league that are more prone to do that, and those type of guys seem to be kind of getting weeded out more and more. I think you still need to be tough, and you need to play hockey the right way, and there's definitely a place in the NHL for fighting right now, I think. But I think at the end of the day, for me anyway, I'm going to spend most of my time training on what my strengths and weaknesses are, and let the guys who are better fighters or bigger guys, worry about spending some time in the off season boxing and whatnot. I've done a little bit of boxing. One of my buddies runs a boxing gym back in Calgary, but other than that, we got to skate during the summer and the training off the ice. So I don't want to spend my whole day working out and add another session of boxing or something in there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just not the right use of resources. So take us through your training a little bit now, and stuff that, what gets you in the condition that you need to be in to perform at your best.
Yeah, I've been using a guy out of Phoenix. His name's Jay Schroeder. I think you might have met him. We talked about
sure.
It's with the ARP, and it's an electrical modality, and it's very different training. There's a lot of extreme, calls them ISO extreme holds, and anything that we do is basically an isometric hold where we're not moving, and but the muscle is still always moving. Apparently, this is what I'm learning. Or if we're not doing a hold, it's a movement where we do it 100 miles an hour as fast as we can, and so I guess the objective of the training is to get those muscles at length. So when they're at length, they're long, and there's more room for them to be explosive, and when they're at length, even in when you're working out, they're lengthened, they're in a recovered state, so they're going to recover faster. And I think I've done it for a couple of years now, and I've noticed a big difference, and I feel stronger. And I'm really enjoying it.
Sure. Yeah, I went and I saw him at a workshop out in San Francisco, and certainly has what some people would call controversial methods, but it seems like hearing from you and some of the athletes that are actually doing it, it's highly effective. And what Duncan means by the ISO extreme is you'll get down in like a deep lunge per se, and you'll take 5 minutes to complete the rep. So it isn't. At least what he had us doing is it wasn't like exactly just a hold. You were kind of slowly moving over like a ridiculous long amount of time. And the theory being that either going really fast, which he does some movements really fast, like those Russian lunges where you're, jumping up in the air and moving, your fast twitch, but also really slow movement fires the fast twitch muscles as well. And you can actually almost feel those start to fire off once you're in that kind of long protracted set. You feel it start to work through the different layers of muscle till those small ones are firing, and it's kind of weird. It's like there's a spectrum, either super fast or super long, that's giving you that explosive edge.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think that there's one way to train. There's not one way that's the best way. I certainly like what I'm doing, and it's been working for me, and I like it going forward. But I've done other training methods. Our strength coach in Chicago is great. His name is Paul Goodman, and some of his stuff is I've really benefited from that stuff too. And I mean, that's with the kettlebells, and I know with Onnit, they're available, and just all sorts of different ways to train, get the body ready to go.
Yep, I hear you. So we got you some Onnit stuff through our mutual friend Kevin, and you started trying it, and pretty right off the bat, you started to your feedback was that you really dug it. What has it been like getting familiar with the Onnit stuff? What are some of your favorites, and how's that helped your performance?
Yeah, I love it, and I'm not just saying that because I'm on this podcast, but I
you wouldn't be on the podcast
Kevin
if you hated our shit.
What's that?
You wouldn't even be on here if you didn't like it.
Yeah, that's true. But Kevin got me on the Shroom Tech. He kept talking about the Shroom Tech, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. And the first day I was on it, I felt unbelievable. And so, whether that was superstition or not, but I kept using it, and I felt good. And then I ran out of a bottle, and so I forgot to order some more and get some. And so I went a game without using it, and I definitely it was a noticeable difference in how I felt after using it, and then running out and not being able to use some. So I made sure I got that Shroom Tech, and I take 4 before I go out for warm-ups, and then 1 after the first period. So I love it. It's great, and I'm gonna make sure I keep using that. And I've used the Alpha Brain, and I've got a couple of guys on it down here too, who I train with, and they're raving about it, how they're just having these crazy dreams and sleeping unbelievable, and they've been taking it about 4 hours before we go to bed, and I like that too. For I find it gets me a good sleeper. I feel awake in the morning, and whether that allows me to get into REM sleep and dream, I don't know what it is, but I know that I've been waking up in the mornings feeling good. And, I take a lot of the supplements right now because I'm in the training, and I'm on the hemp protein. What else have I been taking? I take the krill oil every day. I take the EGN, the Earth Grow nutrients. I love that stuff. I take that with my hemp protein after every workout. And I've been on the coconut oil. I was using the coconut oil. Normally, I always get in the shower before I go and train, and or not train, but before my games, and I would take a quick shower to rinse off and just feel good before I put my equipment on. I started putting that coconut oil on in the shower before I would go out there for games, and I don't know if it actually was just mental or what, but I actually felt like really, really good. So I did that for the rest of the playoffs. And just playing out there in the games with just lubed up with coconut oil all over my body.
You just drove all the ladies crazy. Just imagine you oiled up,
I got
Duncan
my
Keith, fresh coconut oil, nude, walking from his shower in to get his pads on.
I'm taking my Earth Grow nutrients on the bench. I'm lubed up in coconut oil. I got my shrimp deck in my stomach. I'm ready to go.
Hell yeah, I like it, man. I like it. Well, that's awesome. And so I know you've gotten some of the other players interested, but to me the Shroom Tech is like an ideal supplement for hockey because that kind of balls out and then got to rest and recover for a little while, and then balls out again, got to rest and recover. That kind of program, it just seems ideally suited for Shroom Tech. Whereas like one single exertion, you'll feel it a little bit, but when you have to do these repeated exertions to max capacity over time, I mean, that supplement really kicks in for that. So I think hockey, if we ever do a clinical trial, I'd like to do it on hockey players because I think that's exactly what it's best suited for.
Yeah. Well, I definitely noticed a huge difference, and I've always taken a little bit of coffee before the games, and I mean, I know that Kevin had recommended, he's like, try it without the coffee. And so the first few times I was drinking my coffee, staying with my routine, then I got off the coffee and just took the Shroom Tech, and I felt just as good. It was so it's nice not to have, that stimulant of coffee in there as well. And, not stressing my adrenals out more than I don't need to.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, man. So you got some charities and stuff. We put out that One Day as a Lion shirt, and we're donating some money to Keith Relief. Tell us a little bit about Keith Relief and what that's all about.
Yeah, it's a charity that I started a couple of years ago. 3 years. It's coming up for 3 years now, and it's basically wanted to find a way to try and give back to some of the people there in Chicago, and felt like I'd been there long enough where people in Chicago had treated me and my family so well over the years that this was a way or an avenue to try and give back, and it helps people and families who are in medical crisis, who have a hard time paying their medical bills. Sometimes you get in there in the hospital and you get stuck with his bill, and then they end up working 3 jobs after, or they can't afford it. So it's a nice way to help them out. We've partnered with Ronald McDonald House and sponsored a floor, so it's nice to go there and visit and see the families that are using that floor to stay there while they are getting treatments and whatnot. So I think it's a worthy cause, and I saw that, and I like that. I got a few of those One Day as a Lion shirts, and they're looking pretty sweet.
Yeah, right on, man. Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Is there anything you don't get in front of the fans very often and get a chance to talk too much? Is there anything you want to kind of put out there to your fans or put out there to people taking Onnit stuff now that you got their ear?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to all the fans back in Chicago. If they're checking this podcast out, I want to say hi to them. I wasn't able to get to the convention this year, to the Fan Fest, so missed you guys there. It would have been fun to hang out, and I'm looking forward to having a good year and helping the Hawks get back to where we need to be. And the more we can get my teammates, maybe if we get some of my teammates on it, on that Shroom Tech, we'll be all right. We'll get to the finals. Maybe it would have got us over the hump there. I don't know if they're.
Yeah, that's it.
I gotta start handing those out and crushing them up and putting them in guys' drinks or something.
Yeah, just dose the Gatorade. That's it.
Yeah.
Gatorade and Shroom Tech. Yeah, you guys.
Thanks for having me on here.
For sure, my friend. I feel like we should give, because Kevin kind of linked us up, I feel like we should give him a little plug. He's with, right now he's doing Sturgeon Slayers out in BC, which looks like the finest sturgeon fishing operation on the fucking planet. You've gone out there and fished with him, right?
You know what? I haven't been out there because the only time that I was able to go or was gonna go, he wasn't gonna be guiding. So, but I want to get out there. I mean, yeah, Kevin's one of my best buddies, and he obviously hooked me up with you and then Onnit, and but yeah, I mean, I think it's from. There's been a lot of guys who I know in the NHL who've gone there and done the fishing and guiding, and I think it's awesome. It's those huge fish that he's got pulling in every day. So I think it'd be fun.
Well, maybe we'll both get out there and raise some hell out in the water and pull a dinosaur from the deep. That sounds like a plan.
They look like dinosaurs.
I know they fucking are. These ancient ass fish. So if you're interested in sturgeon fishing, hook our buddy up, our mutual friend. It's at Sturgeon Slayers, I think, at Twitter, and has the web domain. But again, brother, thank you for everything. Much appreciated, and we're here to support you in any fucking way we can. We got you indefinitely. So much love from Onnit and the Onnit fam.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely,
Thanks,
man.
Guys.
Let's keep in touch. I'll holler at you soon.
Yep, sounds good, Robert. Have a good one, bud.
All right, Onnit people, we're out. Much love. We will see you guys soon. Lando, you're leaving us for Brokeback Tundra out in the
off to Alaska.
Off to Alaska. We won't ask any questions about what goes on. What happens in Alaska definitely stays in Alaska, Orlando. So we'll miss you on this podcast, but we'll be seeing the rest of you guys next week, I'm sure. Peace.